Welcome back. Last time I took a road trip from Tennessee to Georgia and back, picked up a Bowerton sailing dinghy. Of course, with any boat there are always projects. Apart from the assessment I did when I picked it up and things that I knew going into it, took a little closer look and got started on those projects to get it ready for spring. So let's see what we got here. First thing I wanted to do is address the centerboard that was not coming down. Figured that would be something that was a periodic maintenance task, so just went through and kind of did some general cleaning as well.
Okay. I've moved the boat off the trailer to here, and I have removed the screws. You know, I was looking in there, what is that? You know, it's like styrofoam pieces. But anyway, I'm gonna see if I can take this out, so let me try that. So that came out pretty easily, considering. And what I've got in here is this. So I've got chewed up styrofoam right there. Okay. So, and you know, this rope is completely, you know, just wrecked. So, and actually it's broken. Ooh, and I'm getting those beads flying everywhere because of the wind. I'm gonna try and take care of this real fast, move this in a place where the wind won't get it. So I'm gonna do that and come back.
So I ran a vacuum real quick over the centerboard housing to get some of the stray pieces off. And then needed to do the same here for the inside. I decided that I would go ahead and make my two primary projects for this to be getting the mast step repaired and then also just reinforcing the fiberglass of that centerboard housing. It worked fine, but there were some areas where the fiberglass had sort of broken. So, you know, disassembling, assessing, and then doing some research to figure out what products I would need and where I would get them from. Prior to starting any fiberglass work, I went back and rewatched the Sailboat Story videos on building the Chameleon sailing dinghy and got some ideas from there, but in doing a little deeper search, found a YouTube channel called Boatworks Today. Highly recommend that if you are going to be doing any fiberglass work. I decided on the epoxy route, so you can see I got some rolls of fiberglass back there, both the chop strand matting and the 1708. All the supplies that I thought I would need, including some, you know, kind of filler materials. I initially ordered some bungee and links of rope from places like Sailrite and West Marine because I also had some hardware that I wanted to get. But ultimately, I reached out to Bowtech Marine, and they had basically a rigging set, and then could also provide supplies for the bungee, as well as the rub rail. So I went ahead and just placed an order with them. Got a couple new stickers for the side as well, since the previous owner removed those for the repaint or whatever. And yeah, here's all that. Apart from sailing or powering by outboard, these boats also came with oar sockets, so went ahead and did some research, found out who originally supplied the oars for the Bauer boats, and reached out to them. I went ahead and ordered a set of oars from a company called American Traders out of, I believe, West Brattleboro, Vermont. Some nice Canadian oars, as you'll see here. Just went with the option of the rubber oar sleeves. Again, those made in the US.
Okay, so the repair that I'm going to be doing is to that right there, because this has come off. So what I'm going to do is take this off right here, and this gives us a better look at this. So we've got some excess material that I don't know what in the world someone was thinking there. Okay, so that's gone. It does look like, you know, that's kind of broken. So I guess kind of the approach is just to sand that and start to get it ready. So maybe I'll give that a shot.
Here's the area after the bulk of the sanding. I did a bit more touch up prior to using the surface cleaner. And what you're seeing here is step 2. So step 1 after the sanding, I went ahead and laid, well, on this side that you see here, I put a piece of tape over the hole, flipped the boat, and then added a layer of chop strand matting and epoxy, let that harden, and then that served as a base for what I'm doing now. So after the epoxy, pretty much every time, I would take just soap water and a scrub pad and go over the old area and then do any sanding necessary. And that does something called removing amine blush. That was new to me, I'd never heard of that, but apparently on the surface of the epoxy there will be an amine layer, and you just have to wash that off prior to adding any new material. So the process that I used here, once I had that area sanded and then used the surface prep cleaner again, is wet the area, added a layer of chop strand matting followed by 1708, and then alternated chop strand and 1708. Now if you look online, you're going to find 2 different ways of doing this. Now I went with the way that Boatworks Today uses, which I also found to be backed up by people who have done fiberglass work for NASA, airlines, and then also the Navy. That is laying the smaller layers first, and then as you build it up, use larger layers on top. That follows more of the layering process that's used in the original build, and allows each one of the new layers to contact the hull. Now, the other way of doing it, which I've seen reputable people do, is laying the large piece first and laying the smaller pieces on the inside. And the argument against that method is that only that initial layer is going to have physical contact with the hull. And if that should fail, then the entire patch fails. Whereas this, you have each of these layers, that are kind of built, like I said, along with each plane of the original fiberglass material. Tried my best here to work out any air bubbles, make sure there was enough epoxy but not too much. And then next day came out and cleaned the amine off the bottom, used this Dewaxer and Surface Prep after sanding, and then went ahead and added some chop strand matting, which you can see here, and then some 1708 on the top of that just to build it up. Now, it's really hard, you can't really tell here, but that's not a very wide gap. And sorry for the focus, it was focusing on the outside of the hull, not the inside. But I basically had to tape a stick to that little brush in order to get it down in there. Right here, I had reinforced that entire bottom section of this centerboard housing. And the reason I did that is just because some of the screw holes seemed a little bit weak. One of them had completely sort of worked, all the way through the outside to where there was really nothing that the screw was gonna hold well to. So I added that, and then I filled those screw holes, which you'll see here in a second. Here's a look at the underneath side after that last layer of 1708. Everything had cured.
Alright, so got that done there. Oh, you can see, so that is now heavily reinforced and gonna be good to go for getting that mast step in there. I will do everything to get this thing back in as well. So I went ahead with this and I just kind of filled in these screw holes. I'm just gonna sand and re-drill for the countersinks and that. I just that one there had actually gone all the way through that edge, and kind of like that one, right? Oh, where is it? Right there. Just real close to the edge. So, and then of course I cut that, but I'm gonna sand and kind of make that edge a little better. And then this here, not the best job, but to be honest, it's okay. It's gonna be way more stronger than it needs to, and I just kind of wanted to get that, in better shape. It wasn't bad, but it was cracked. I mean, it's under the water. You're under the inside the boat. You can't really see it or whatever, but there's no reason for it to be in bad shape. So I just reinforced it for good measure. So one of these here was pretty corroded right there, and this other one as well, but I was trying to get it off and it slipped, so I took the angle grinder to it, and I'm going to see if I can get that off there. Gonna have to fix that too. So here's the condition of one of the bunk boards, which you can see that's just bad. So I've got some new wood, and I got them untreated, but I'm applying this on it, and it actually rained, and you can see the water beading on it there. So I mean, you can see that well enough, I think. There we go. So that's how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna drill the holes and all that stuff and get those on. So in addition to preparing the bunk boards, I'm just waiting for the material from Sailrite. I also did a thing.
Good of you to stop by. If you'd like to see the results of the projects in part 2, You can hit the subscribe button and it'll let you know when the next one is up. If you like this, appreciate a thumbs up. And otherwise, look forward to seeing you back next time.